Grey Knights matter. And their state of matter is horrendous, both within the lore and public perception. You know what's the worst? That it shouldn't be the case. Because they have all the right ingredients for them to be one of the better factions. They have the gene seed of capital B badass of their imperium. They are psychers, they are demon hunters. And yet they are handled like if someone who wrote Devil May Cry had a stroke. And not stroke of genius. Stroke of heat. Heat stroke. In the middle of medieval convention. Let's be clear here, they suck. And I believe that they are made to suck. I am now out here making a theory. I am fully convinced that Games Workshop use the Grey Knights as the main producent of grimdarkness within the grimdark universe, which is of course grimdark, because it has to be grimdark, right? And you know what? It doesn't have to be like that. They already set themselves into more epic scale when it comes to Indominus Crusade. I mean, come on, the second Primarch has returned. The lion is back in circus, boys. Okay, but seriously, what am I rambling about? Well, in my stupid mind, there have been some ideas that regard the latest revelations about Terminus Decree, and how bad it is, and how good it can be. It would have been a lie if I told you that all of them have happened to come to me before I watched any of the videos that explain why it is such a bullshit that it is. Still, I believe that I have something to say in this case, even if only to stir the pot. In this video, I will show you the scenario that I believe would at least help save the Grey Knights in the eyes of the public and lore. For that, I believe that there are 4 things that have to be done. First, we must set straight the Terminus Decree. Second, we must reset the value in the eyes of the fans and make a soft reset of the chapter. Third, we must give them unquestionable victory. And fourth, upon that victory, something has to be built. So, let's start from the beginning. Terminus Decree. Terminus Decree is both latest and oldest bullshit that revolves within the sphere of Grey Knights. The order was issued to them by Malcador the Sigilate, and within the latest lore drop, it was revealed that it's said to kill the Emperor. It is stupid, because no one can just that easily go into Golden Palace and kill the Emperor if he ever have risen from his golden throne. Custodes, Sisters of Silence, all of Imperial Fists and Emperor himself, even if all of them were at their worst. Only legend after them that would stay would be amongst Eldars. And it wouldn't stay for long because, well, they are Eldars. And yet, Eldars will be needed. Why? Buckle up, because we're going on an adventure. And with Grey Knights, as demon hunters, there is only one adventure that we should go on with them. We are going to do what Custodes couldn't, and clean up the webway. Well, not exactly. I mean, we are going to clean up the part of webway that is under the Golden Palace. I hear you saying, but wait. Krzyżak, what the fuck? How did you make that jump from killing the Emperor to cleaning up the webway? Well, there are 3 things to consider when we are going into that. First one is the most meta. It's the change of direction of the writing that Games Workshop actually are working on. Gilliman return, Indominus Crusade, Lion return, the viable alliance with Eldari by Gilman. The Grim Darkness Epic changed into Epic Grim and Dark universe. There are no more puppies to zap, there are no more seals to kill, there is no more kitting to throw into the furnace. Games Workshop are actively building up Empire for one of their greatest victories yet. Either that, or their greatest failure. In both of these scenarios, cleaning up the webway by the Grey Knights, with help of Imperial forces and Gilman and Eldari, is a great setup for epic struggle that may go for another big crusade set of books. Maybe not half as big as Horus Heresy, but still big enough for Warhammer fans to return to the books. That's the first reason. Second reason is that Grey Knights are mostly focused on killing demons, and they have built quite an alliance with the Eldars. Eldars that, I remind you, are specialists if it comes to webway. They build it. And Empire wants to use it. At least Emperor did when he was still alive and kicking. That's also the third reason why it should work. The Emperor was and still is playing indefinitely long game against Chaos. He could foresee the future, and amongst many visions, I believe that this one would have happened. The one when Gilman is returning and that he makes an alliance with the Knife Ears. Or at least, you know, they start talking. Now I should clarify it before that when I'm talking about alliance, I mean about only this scenario, where all these factions are forced to work for greater good. Essentially what I say here is that Eldari would help Grey Knights as specialized demon killers to clean up the webway from the demons. At least the part of webway behind the Golden Palace. It would also go good with the narrative around the Terminus Decree. I remind you that Kickstarter of the Terminus Decree is supposed to be some kind of apocalyptic event. Imagine if Golden Throne suddenly started to fail. Build up about failing it follows up, I believe, from the first edition. From the start, it's known that suddenly, one way or the other, Throne will stop working as intended. And before you say that, well, if they know that this will stop working, then why don't they clean up the webway with Grey Knights before it stops working? Well, there's only so much of the IQ points that I may add with my rambling to this entire ruckus with the Terminus Decree. I remind you that the Emperor is the Emperor of humanity. He's still supposed to be at least some kind of a human, even if he is beyond what every human can ever hope to achieve. And while humans are not Eldars, they are still making a large amount of mistakes. Okay, I believe that this was the second reason. Third one is quite new. Everybody? Leagues of Votann. Votans have technological advantage if it comes to protective battlesuits. They are settling on the unknown, unwanted death worlds in the core of the universe. They are also considered abhumans by the Empire. And of course, the racial struggles between ears and beards is always a feast for the fantasy nerds. So, we have a lot of factions that can get into this scenario, which means that Games Workshop can make another miniature sets for the avid Warhammer 40k fans. I will not buy it, I am too poor. But it's always the reason to make a good story. Okay, now how do we reset the value of Grey Knights in the eyes of the fans? Well, we will do soft reset. Amongst many fans critiquing the new prospect of Grey Knights killing the Emperor by Terminus Decree, there is a loud semi-joke that Grey Knights are supposed to be the power DoorDash for whatever rises up from the Golden Throne. Well, I like this idea. Within its grim darkness, it's absolutely perfect. But you know what? I'm going to make it useful. I'm going to make it an investment. Let's say that the invasion started, and that the Grey Knights and Custodes and other Imperial forces and Eldari and Votann have started to slaughter the demons. But the demons are too strong. What do? We will do what has to be done. And thousands of Grey Knights will sacrifice themselves to fuel the golden wrath of the Emperor. So he would help the invaders of Webway to close up all the portals leading to the warp, so the forces that still stand could purge what left, so they wouldn't open any new rifts. This scenario gives a heroical end to the 666th chapter, and I remind you that the knowledge about Grey Knights still does exist. No matter how secretive everyone thinks that they should be, somehow they were created and somehow they are created still. There is no way that some inquisitors didn't make any notes. A new chapter of Psyker Marines, built upon the legend of the old veterans and their sacrifice, would have hit right into epic, grim and dark vibes of the new and old setting of Warhammer 40k. But honestly, the only reason why I even want to save the Grey Knights is because they have very cool miniatures. And one day I would love to have an army of them, but I have psychological barrier to do it while their lore is shit. And with there being new Grey Knights that could work out as a knight, as a real paladins, like salamanders without flamethrowers, or blood ravens without black rage, Yeah, that would be unquestionable victory for the faction, fans, Games Workshop, and the Golden Gate. And now that we have the unquestionable victory that I was talking about, we may go to building up on them. What does come from this scenario? Well, few books, that's for the start. Some sets of miniatures of Leagues of Votan, Eldari, maybe some kind of new Space Marines that are not Grey Knights. Possibly the setting of Space Marine 4, maybe some new boards for tabletop. But also a setup for return of another Primarch. Clearing up the webway would be the first massive step to bringing back Jagatai Khan and setting up more stories and more miniatures for White Scars. So, what do you think? Do you think that I wasted my breath? Or do you think that some things that I say are worthy of considering? Well, even if not, I hope that I have successfully stirred the pot. I'm not the lore master, I doubt I will ever be, but I believe in sacred right of letting people make idiots out of themselves. And if that's the case, you can tell me about it in the comments. But if you want more, then like and subscribe, and the more will happen. See ya!